welcome back to another episode of The Goodall Show, where we learn how to grow, motivate you to grind, and encourage you to give. I am James Goodall, your host. We had a great week. Just got done with the basketball tournament. Last week, we took third place. Unfortunately, we were up 15 points, 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Ended up losing on a three. We were up two. They hit a three with 1 second left, and then we called the timeout. And we missed the three to win the game. So, unfortunately, we didn't win. We got third place. We should have won. But it's been a good week. We don't have any more Christmas lights left this week. We got about 25 fall cleanups. We should get those done this week, depending on the weather. It's supposed to be really cold tomorrow, 25 degrees. So I'm excited. We are ready for the snow. I'm ready for the break. I'm ready for Christmas. But we are ready to fix the business and grow and work on the business, not in the business. I hope you guys are too. I really hope this podcast helps. If it does help, this conversation with Akai, we're going to talk to someone from Arkansas named Jason, who's a little bit farther along than the last two callers, right? The first caller we had, 15 yards. Second caller we had, 2 yards, 3 yards. This guy's a little bit farther along in his entrepreneur journey. So hopefully we can learn from him. Hopefully I can learn from him, learn something, learn some tricks. If you like this, if it helps you, share it, because someone else needs it. Someone else is in the spot that he's at, and they need help. Last week we talked about start with why, right? Why do you do it? Why do you have the business? Why do you grow the business? Why is an important question to ask. I know when we were kids we were told not to ask why, but it's an important question to ask now. This book, Tribe of Millionaires, this week, Tribe of Millionaires, it matters who you hang around. It matters who you listen to. It matters who you follow. It truly matters. And if you are hanging around, following, listening to the wrong kind of people, your business isn't going to grow, right? I don't want to listen to people who are negative, who have a negative outlook on life. It just doesn't matter. It completely matters. It just doesn't help me. It doesn't benefit me to listen to people that have a negative outlook on life. And then more importantly, if you have 20 yards, right, you don't want to listen to people who are giving advice that have 5 yards, right? You want to listen, you want to hang around, you want to follow people who have 100 yards, right? I don't want to take advice from, and I can learn from people. I'm not saying that. I don't want to follow and listen to and get advice from people who have one crew when I have 3, right? I'm always looking for people who have 5 crews, or people who have $1 million business. What we're bringing in, double me. And the Tribe of Millionaires, it's just a story, a short story. It is a very easy read, very easy listen to. Like, you could listen into it in a half a day. I think it may be 3 hours on Audible. And I highly recommend it. I love the segment of Book of the Week, because you can learn a lot from the books that we emphasize on this podcast. Like I said, I'm gonna call this guy. You guys hang on a second, and hopefully this conversation and this interview or this talk really helps you, because I think if you apply some of the stuff that maybe you hear, and maybe if you listen to this whole podcast, you get one thing out of it, right? You get one golden nugget, just like a book. If you get one thing out of a book, it could change your business, it could change your life. So I hope this conversation helped. If it does, share it. I appreciate you guys following, appreciate you guys listening, because that's the only way we can push this out. I've really enjoyed this podcast. I've only done 3, but my goal is to have 52 podcasts in a year from now, one a week. Thank you for joining. We'll get this conversation going, and we'll be right back.
Hello, it's Jason.
Hey, Jason. Hey, this is James. This is a good time?
Yeah, man. How's it going?
Hey, I'm great. How are you, man?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah? Yeah, I know I said 35 minutes, but it's a little bit early. I got here in the office a little bit quicker than I thought after basketball practice.
Sure. So do you coach a team, or do you have kids playing, or?
Yeah, I just coach. So my son's like 2, but I've been coaching. This is my 10th year coaching now. So I coach JV, so junior, freshman and sophomore boys. So I love it, man. Love it.
That's cool, man. I coached my first few years of teaching.
Okay.
And then I don't do it anymore, but
Yeah.
it's fun. But
Yeah, I love it. I coach the team that I went to school for. Right, I graduated from there in high school, and then now I coach there. I've been doing it for a while, so hopefully I can coach all the way through my son till my son gets through.
oh man, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be sweet. So yeah, I saw. Okay, so you said you were teaching, right?
Yeah, I taught for 7 years.
Okay, so you taught for 7 years, and then you quit to go full-time landscape, huh?
Yeah, so I started this business, I don't know, 4 or so years ago, maybe 5.
All right.
I worked for a landscaping company in college, and my best friend, his uncle, had a fairly big business just down the road from us in Rogers, which is probably 40 or so minutes from where I live.
Okay.
And worked for him through college, in the summertime. My best friend and I worked for him, mowing grass or doing landscaping or leaves or what have you. And when I graduated from college, he offered me like a full-time job there, like a salaried job. And I was like, no, I'm going to teach. And of course, when you're a teacher, you got the whole summer that you don't really do anything.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that. So my dad had like a Husqvarna like tractor mower. And so I would borrow it, and I started cutting lawns. And so I had a couple lawns, turned into 5, turned into 10, and now we do about, 75 or so a week.
Nice. So you're working at the school, and then in the summer you would cut grass. And did it bleed into the spring and fall?
Yeah, and so I was driving my truck and trailer to school and parking in the parking lot in the back, and then getting off at 3:30 or 4, and then hopping in my truck and going to mow until dark.
That's the life, right? That is the life. Yep. So, at that point, how many did you have at that point? Like, I guess, when did you quit your teaching job? Was this 2 years ago? Was this 3?
No, this was a year. This is a year ago. And
okay.
So I quit this past year, actually in April.
Okay. So everybody graduated, and this summer was the first time. This fall is the first like full time.
Yes.
Okay.
So this fall would be my first, I guess, full time year. Now I've had employees for like 2 years or so.
Yeah.
And so.
Okay.
But I've got 3 employees right now, and then in the springtime I usually have between 5 and 7.
Nice. So last spring, like this spring that you just quit, did you have? You said you were doing about 70. Is that how many you were doing at the time?
Yes, while I was teaching.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's crazy. So you had 3 to 4 guys then in the spring.
Yeah.
Or did you have 6 at that time?
No, well I had 6. I usually I hire 2 more in May, and then I have 6 through the summer.
Okay. See, that's a good question right there. So how did you? So a lot of people ask me, how do you find help? How do you find help?
Man, one of my guys that has been working for me for almost 2 years, I met him in a sporting goods store.
Oh, really?
And he was looking for a job.
Like in the sporting goods store that you were at, was he like trying to apply there? Okay.
Trying to apply there, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'm hiring." And now that was 2 years ago, and he's been working this is his 3rd year, and which I'll probably lose him after he graduates college.
Gotcha. Okay. Just because he's getting a degree in something?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's been a good worker for you, obviously?
Oh, yeah, he's awesome.
Okay.
And so he does all of my mowing. And so him and another guy, they do all of my mowing.
Okay, so you have one crew basically doing mowing, him and then another guy. Okay, so you have 2 guys doing that.
Yeah, we only mow 3 days a week.
Gotcha. Yeah, because you don't want to max it out, and then you want to do other stuff that's more profitable maybe.
Right, especially when I was teaching, because 3 days a week, I could get by with mowing on a Saturday or a Sunday if I had to.
Yeah.
And so to play catch up or rain out or what have you.
So go ahead. My bad.
If I was mowing 5 days a week, there's no way to.
Exactly, and that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
we do 4 days a week, and it bleeds into Friday, sometimes. And
Right.
so, okay, so you found this one guy. So back to, you found this one guy at the sporting goods store. Did you find other guys on Indeed, Craigslist? How did you find those other guys?
So just through connections and people that I know, they're like, hey, or like through the employee that I have, he's like, hey, my buddy needs a job. I'm like, okay, and when can he start? And he would work for me, or he would know someone else, or I would get a message on Facebook saying, hey, my son needs a job, or blah, blah, blah. I would run, I would just put an advertisement, not an advertisement, but I would post on my, like you can post a job opening on Facebook.
Yep.
And so I did that, and I had like a couple high school kids that worked for me this past summer and the summer before that, and they want to work for me again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nice. So like for me, it's been a blessing. 3 of the guys that work with me now, I coached in basketball, right? So
Gotcha.
So it is a blessing there, where you do have connections. You're not having to go find someone you don't have any idea how their work ethic is and all that.
Right.
So for me, and even you, what grade were you when you were teaching for 7 years? But were you teaching high school or junior high or what?
No, I was teaching 3rd grade.
Okay, all right. All right.
So
man, that's a grade right there, man. 3rd graders, there you go, for 7 years.
Oh man, it's a wild time for 3rd. I'm 6'3" with a beard.
Man, look at that. That's crazy. Yeah. My nephew's 1st grade. I can't imagine a room full of 3rd graders how that goes.
Yeah, I taught kindergarten at one point too.
Really? Man, 6'3" keeps coaching. Teaching 3rd graders. So I'm guessing if they're in 3rd grade, you started out in 7 years ago, they might have been seniors. No, maybe almost seniors. So so you get to know them, and that helps with the hiring. So you have so you had a crew. You still have a crew. 1 crew mowing, right?
Yeah. And so I currently have 3 guys right now that work for me.
Okay. Like currently, like as right now, right?
Yeah, like they'll be in tomorrow.
Okay. All right. And then there's that count, and then 3 plus you.
Yeah, 3 plus me.
And then are you still in the field? I know that you had said that you have a 4 to 6 man team depending on the time. Are you in the field?
And so I am still in the field. Like today, it was me and actually one other guy. So one of my guys works Monday, Wednesday, Friday because he's in college.
Okay.
And then my other 2 employees that I actually just hired in the fall, I knew that work would slow down, but I wanted a way to retain them for the spring. And it worked out to where one of my clients he owns FedEx routes.
Okay. Yeah.
And so those 2 employees took jobs. I got them jobs with FedEx routes. So they work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they work for me the other days. And then occasionally, if we're not as busy or what have you, then I give them the day off.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're kind of trying to keep them through the whole winter.
Right. Exactly. And so, and I'm still in the field. I wouldn't say every day, but a lot of the days I'm in the field, especially when because we do a lot of design and install. Like I'll design a landscaping project.
Okay.
And then we'll put it in. And so we do a lot of that. So I like to be in the field, at least for the beginning parts of that.
Gotcha. So 70 lawns. So 70 lawns, those 2 guys get those done, right? So they're not helping with that job, or are they?
No, and so they're only doing mowing, and then they landscape with me and usually 2 other guys when they're not mowing grass.
Gotcha.
And so it'll be interesting to see how this next year goes as far as landscaping, because I'll be available Monday through Friday from sunrise to sunset, versus before, and during the school year they were doing landscape jobs, and I was just kind of either meeting them after work and going over it, and then they would start it the next day.
Yep. So 70 lawns, and so the last time, the spring, you were still, in this spring, you were still at the school, right? You were still working, teaching, right? Am I correct?
Yes. And so, I was at the school until April. I actually quit just before the end of the school year.
Okay.
And so, but it was a point to where my business had blown up so much that I couldn't keep up with both. And so
Gotcha.
I made the decision to lose out on that money through the summer. Because
Uh-huh.
if I worked another month, I would have been paid up until August.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I decided not to, and then I quit
So
in
if you would have
April.
worked, you're saying if you would have worked till May, then they would have paid you all the way through August.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, but you had another month there that you could have been working full time in the business, so you just decided, hey, I'm gonna quit now
Yes.
and focus on the business. So 70 yards. Have you seen? Are you trying to get more yards, or you're trying to add? Like this year, are you trying to add more yards, or are you trying to get more jobs?
So this year, I would like to go to 80.
Okay.
And so to 80 lawns 4 days a week.
Okay.
And so
And
20
one crew can do that. So basically, like 20 a day.
one crew can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, I'm really big on route density. And so we don't drive any more than 8 miles.
Dude, you're speaking my language, man. You cannot make money cutting grass unless you're dense.
No.
You know, you learn that the hard way, I think. Most people learn it the hard way. But yeah, you're correct, man.
And so that's the only way. Like if they're in South Fayetteville or if they're in North Springdale, I get calls all the way up to Centerton, which is like 45 minutes from us.
Yeah.
I just say no, and I give them. I have another business that I just refer them to, and then vice versa. They get calls. I have several businesses. If they get calls in West Fayetteville or Farmington or Prairie Grove, they just send them my way.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do, right? Because when I took over 3 years ago from my dad, we were driving 45 minutes to a yard, right? And it's just not worth it. Like now we're in Cherville, and the city above us is like Munster and like Griffith, and we get calls all the time. Hey, can you do this? And when we tell them no, like we only go north of Cherville, they're like, well, it's only like 2 minutes. I'm like, we have to put a boundary. We have to put a boundary somewhere, and this is what we decided to go. And density, if you're paying 2 guys to drive 5 minutes between each yard and they do 20 yards, dude, that's an hour they're spending just driving.
That's 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. That's 2 hours. And if you cut that down to 30 seconds between each yard or a minute, dude, you save so much more time on man hours. You're not paying them to drive. So you have to do that when you're looking to grow. So you're trying to get to 80 yards, that reoccurring kind of revenue there.
Mm-hmm. For mowing, yeah.
Yep.
And so I would say that mowing's probably about 40% of our business.
Okay. All right. So and then so the other 60, is that actual like big landscape installs, or do you do like bushes, like small bushes for the customers you have, or like mulch?
So I would say probably about 40% of our business is mowing. Probably the other 20 or 25 is like bush trimming, leaves, and that kind of thing. And then the other, I guess, 30 left over or so would be like, here's a new construction home, design me a landscaping and put it in. As far as from a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
And so as far as the money of the business. And so I would say about 30 to 35% of our business comes from, as far as the revenue goes, comes from putting in something new. And so something new, whether that be a patio or trees. Like today we did 8 trees, and they were 4 to 5 inch trees. And so they were huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so things like that.
4 to 5 inch around, like the stalk or the, whatever whatever it's called.
And so
is around.
the trunk.
The trunk. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Okay.
So,
so
I would say,
okay,
mowing just keeps our guys busy. And so
it really does. You don't have to go out and sell. That's just consistent, reoccurring revenue for that mowing. Okay. And then what do you think the profit percentage on is your mowing not as profitable, right? But it's that reoccurring revenue. Like for us, we don't profit as much on mowing but it's reoccurring.
Right. I mean, most of the time with mowing, we're profiting anywhere between $4 and $7.50 a day.
Gotcha.
And so it's not a crazy amount, but it's enough to keep our guys busy and reoccurring revenue for our business. And so, and I like to do that. I really enjoy being out in the field for like the landscape stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really mow grass anymore unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. And so, but I really enjoyed, doing the landscape side of it and just kind of managing that. And I'm actually in the process of potentially hiring a salaried employee starting in January.
Okay, like 12 months out of the year, right?
And so like 12 months out of the year,
Okay.
and he would be on a salary. It's a good friend of mine that when he works for me, I pay him, well. And so, upwards of $18 to $20 an hour, just
Gotcha.
depends on what he's doing.
And then what would he be doing for you? Would he be doing just the work, or taking some of the load off you?
So he would be taking some of the load. He is basically capable of doing everything that I can do.
Nice.
And so, as far as he would be doing estimates and his responsibility, and we've kind of met and talked about and kind of laid out his responsibility. He would be responsible for the mowing side of the business as far as building routes, arranging routes, maintaining the equipment, that kind of thing, and then doing estimates and stuff as well. And we hang Christmas lights too. I saw that where you were hanging Christmas lights.
Yeah, that's a good. It extends for us. It extends the season. Like in Florida, you don't really need to do Christmas lights because it's all year round. But for us, it kind of extends it 2 to 3 weeks, and then a week or two after Christmas where we have to take them down. But yeah, and really when your goal, right, of 80 yards, you can really become very profitable if you're going to be stuck at 80 yards, right? You can take those 80 yards or those 70 yards and say, okay, my bottom 15 yards, what are my worst ones, or what are the ones that complain? And then you can just like get more profitable if you're going to stay at 80. Because if you're profiting, let's say you're profiting 20% after everything, well, could you profit 25% because you're focusing on better quality people and all that? Yeah, that's interesting. Right? That's interesting.
Yeah, and so, we would definitely like to obviously grow the mowing business side of things, and mowing is definitely profitable.
Yeah.
But other things I feel are more profitable than as far as when you break down the man hours.
And you make it sound like you don't want to do it. So why would you do something like you don't want to grow it so big to where, man, now I have to go out and mow. Like if you don't really want to go mow, why go to 120 yards when we would rather do something else? Yeah. So what's the biggest thing that you're struggling with right now? Like, because you're at the point where a lot of people want to be where you're at, right? You have 70 yards, 4 to 6 guys working for you at any given time. You have 40% of your business is just that reoccurring revenue. Then you have that 60% of other stuff. I mean, a lot of people that listen to this and on TikTok and YouTube, they want to get where you're at. So first of all, how'd you get there? A couple of things that you got, you figured out, hey, this is how I got here. But then also, like, what are you struggling with?
I think the biggest thing that we struggle with as far as the business goes is really just finding the time to manage, or I guess finding the time to meet with clients, like talk and meet with clients and go over projects, just being available. And so that's probably the biggest hurdle that we have. And we lose out on a lot of work if I can't, there are times where someone calls me and I can't get there for, 4 days or so.
Yeah.
And so, and a lot of people are like, oh, okay, never mind.
And so it sounds like that guy you might hire might take care of that. Is that correct?
Exactly. And so I'm in the process. And so do you have, I don't know how your business is structured, but do you have a salaried employee, or are you the 100% owner of it, or?
So me and my brother, I'm you quote unquote 100% owner. My brother, he has 20% of it, so I have 80%. And really, we like your salary guy that you're going to hire. That's my brother, right? I could not run the business. At least I don't think I could without him. Like he does so much for me. Like our business would not be where it's at if it weren't for him. Mm-hmm. So, I pay him very well. I actually pay him more than me because I started working at the school for the grounds, and I'm like, hey, look, I'm going to pay you more because I'm going to do a little less out in the field. So he runs the crews, right? He's making sure everything gets done. But it's kind of like how yours is. And he's not a salary. We don't pay him we don't pay each other throughout the winter. but he gets a good percentage of the business because he's running it, you know. And I run. I'm there. I get the guys out. I have all those conversations. I talk to the clients, you know, like, you know, if there's any estimates, I go do the estimates. But for the actual work to get done, he's running everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so that's kind of where I'm as far as finding. And the thing with this guy that I'm potentially getting ready to hire is that if I need to strike it while the iron's hot, as far as that goes, because he's available and he's ready to come aboard, and we've had negotiation, and if I don't hire him, he's going to go do something. He's at a point, he just had a kid, and he has a small micro farm that he's done, and he has kind of a small business, but he's ready to kind of make a career change, and he has other opportunities. And so I need to either take the opportunity now when I'm not quite ready for that, or I'm not going to have the opportunity later, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And really, you know, like, you just don't, the biggest thing is you don't want to pay him $40,000 a year and he brings in $60,000, right? You want him to do, like, if you hire this guy, right? If you hire him as a salary employee and you pay him, let's just say 40, that might be way off, or whatever the case may be. Let's say you pay him $40,000. You want him to bring in $120,000. Right. I mean, if you pay him 40 and he brings in 60, yeah, you did make a profit, but that's just a thought, you know. And really, man, dude, if he's so valuable to your company, he's going to be worth it. That's you, at least you recognize your struggle, and then you know, hey, dude, this is what I need to fix. I need to hire this guy.
Yeah, my wife's like, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I was listening to a book, and they're like, a good employee like makes you money, right? If you find a good employee and you're paying him $20 an hour, he's gonna make you money. But if you find a bad employee and because he's bad, you only pay him $12 an hour, he's actually costing you $12 an hour. Like, if you find a good one, he's going to make you money. If you find a bad one, they're going to cost you money. If you find a good guy, dude, he's going to make you money and make your life easier and make your life more simple. So how did you get to this point? Like, what would you say, hey, man, these are the two things that I did that, dude, I look back, and the reason why we have 70 yards, the reason why we have X amount, we're bringing in X amount of dollars is because this little trick or this. How did you start? I guess that's the question. How did you start this business?
So my biggest thing is when I started this business, you know, obviously I just kind of took on whatever. And that was the biggest problem that I ran into, is that when I took on whatever, as far as lawns go, I was driving 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there.
Yep.
You know, because I was a teacher, and I was like, you know, I have my teaching salary. You know, if I make an extra $1,500 a month mowing grass, sweet, you know. And then it got to the point where it's like, okay, let me fix that issue. And so then we have a very specific client that we go after. And so we don't take anything outside of those realms. And so our specific client is lawns under 11,500 square feet, no bigger.
Dude, bro, you literally think exactly like me, man. Because, dude, you have to do that.
That's the only client that will take. If your lawn is any bigger than that, it could be across the street.
Yep.
We won't do it.
Yep.
Because when we built a specific clientele, I know exactly or less how long each of those lawns take.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so then I just figure out the man hour. Every once a month we time all of our routes.
Gotcha.
And then I just take the man hour and I divide it by 60, and we're 75 man hour. And so I divide it by 60 and times it by 75 and see if the lawn's profitable or not.
And if it's not, you either got to raise the prices or you got to drop them.
And if it's not, I either raise the price or drop them every year.
And see, like, that formula right there, first of all, like, with that formula, everybody has to understand that, right? If you're starting a company and you're listening to this, the most powerful thing you could do is say no, right? Say no to clients, say no to jobs, say no to opportunities that doesn't fit your long-term goal. Secondly, is you're laying out the pumpkin plan, right? The pumpkin plan book, it just lays it out. You have to focus on your whatever you want to take your business. However, you don't have to do lawns, but however you want to do it, you have to focus on that specific goal, right? If you have 100 clients, what are your worst 15 that don't fit that criteria, and get rid of them and focus on another 15 the next year? Man, I think, see, the problem with that, I mean, not the problem, the thing about that is it took you, I don't know how long it took you to figure that out, maybe a year or two?
Yeah, I mean, that took me probably it's 2 seasons. And so the second season is when I started dropping clients. But it was because I was reading books and listening to podcasts and watching videos and figuring out how to.
Dude,
I mean, we start businesses to do things that we couldn't do before.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I'm a huge outdoorsman, and I love to hunt and fish and build guns and buy guns and that kind of thing. And so, and the lifestyle that I wanted wasn't capable on a teaching salary. I wasn't capable of doing that. So I was like, if I want to do X amount of things, then I need to make more money.
Yep.
And the only way to make more money is to figure out how to make more money.
Yeah.
So I need to watch these videos and read these books and figure out what works for us and then hit the ground running. And so that's what we've been doing.
and that's where like 3 years ago for me, right, or 4 years ago, I started diving into books, right? I read 60 books read some, but listened to 60 books that summer or that year. And every book, it seemed like hit home for me. Like it was the perfect book for me to read at that time. Yeah. And they showed me, first of all, it's not about how much money you make, it's how much time you have, right? So you could be working, you could make a ton of money, but you're working every day, all day.
Right.
And you're not building it for the future, right? Yeah, you're making a ton of money right then that week, but what is the long-term plan there? And looking at it and saying, I don't want my business to look like this 4 years from now, so I'm going to fix it. And that's how you did it. We're only taking yards under 11,500 square feet, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's huge, man. That's huge.
That's when I really saw like a jump in profits, monthly profits, is when I started really looking at where a truck was going. Because before I was, we just bought a company truck this past year. Yeah. And I'm a pretty frugal guy, so I just went and I found a 2005 F-150 for like $2,800, and it didn't have a bumper on it.
Sounds like me, man. Dude, it sounds like me.
I went to the junkyard and found a bumper off of another truck. It's a dark gray, but you can't really even tell.
Yeah.
And then my buddy owns a muffler shop here, and it didn't have a muffler on it, so it was super loud. So
the thing about that is, right? The thing about that is first of all, most of the clients you mow aren't home, so they don't see your truck. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Secondly, if all they care about is if their yard looks good, you do a good job, you're presentable, you're professional, right? And that's why I preach against like going out and buying a $35,000 truck to mow grass, like cut grass.
Right.
Dude, like, bro, like you could do it if you want, but like think about how many trucks you could buy, with that, and all the stuff you can invest. So, man, you're exact like me. That's crazy how and really it took us 17 years to be alive in business, right? We've been alive for 22 years in business since I was 9, obviously, but we didn't figure this out till 3 years ago. Like, I wish we would have figured this out 10 years ago. Where would we be? But you can't look at the past. You got to look to the future. But
right. Yeah, just like then what Profits First about that Deborah lady that started crying because she like wasted 10 years of her life.
Yep. Exactly. And I want to cry sometimes, but but it's like, man, let's just learn from the past and move on.
Right.
That's crazy. So I guess my one of my last questions for you is, did you are you trying to get the business to where you would go back to teaching? Like, did you like it where if you had it set up?
No, I am 110% done with teaching.
Especially third graders.
Yeah. I don't plan on going back.
Yeah. Okay.
Ever. All right. And so, but I would like to get the business to where eventually, it was running itself pretty close to running itself.
Yeah.
And my plan, which it could change, is so I'm pro grade lawn and landscape right now. is I would like to start another LLC called ProGrade Properties.
Okay.
And then I would like to buy rental properties and then manage that.
Dude, bro.
And so
You're
that's
like,
the plan.
I'm telling you right now, dude. Literally, that's like my goal. My goal is by the time I'm 50 is have 25 rental properties. Like, take the profits from the business, invest and get those rental properties to have assets and buy assets. That's smart to me, man. That's crazy. Like how the goals and the goals of the business. Like E-Myth Revisited talks about. I don't know if you ever read that book. E-Myth Revisited talks about getting your business to where it runs by itself. You don't have to. If you died, it would continue to run. Like if you got ran over by an elephant tomorrow, it would continue to run.
Right.
And we're not there yet. We're almost there for us, getting it there, and then obviously having that long-term goal for you of having rentals is massive because that's probably more profitable than a lawn care business.
Yeah. No, definitely. And so that's why. But I can't just go and take out a loan and then start buying them now. I would like some way to finance or some revenue or outside source to put the money up. And and that's where ProGrade Lawn and Landscape comes into play. And so
that's what's up, man. Hey, this has been a great conversation because first of all, there's a lot of people who listen to this or who follow and they want to get where you are. And I feel like if they listened to that and applied it, being dense, turning down business, having a goal, if they apply what you heard or what you said, they're going to get to it. Like the two conversations I had the last two podcasts, one guy had 3 yards, one guy had 15 yards. Like that's right around the corner. Like I think we see it, right? We see it. Like, dude, it's really if you do a certain amount of things, certain things right, it could go pretty quick. Like you get to 70 yards quick. But
flyers. That was another thing that helped us is I printed door hangers.
Yep.
And I only put them in the neighborhoods that we were already in. And so, or neighborhoods right by it.
Yeah.
And so, because, we put out, I don't know, probably 4,000 flyers last year and picked up like probably 20 or so lawns and then probably another 30 or so landscape jobs.
Dude. Bro, it really works. Like if you pass off the flyers at the right time, like you could pass it out for us. You could pass out flyers now and you're not going to get a yard, okay? Because no one's thinking about it. But if you pass out flyers at the right time, they work wonders. I mean, you're right. We pick 2 or 3, 4 or 5 subdivisions each year and we hit them and we hit them and we hit them. And we grow our density, right? I mean, we had a city where we had 10 yards 2 years ago. Now we have like 30 yards, and in the same area, and we're driving less and less because each yard we get is more dense and more dense. Any last advice for a guy who has 15 yards and about looking to grow to get where you're at? Any last advice?
I would say have some kind of management software, whether that be yard books or Service Autopilot or Jobber, or invest in it now and you will be grateful 5 years from now.
Exactly. That's the number one thing I did 3 years ago when I took over is go from having our clients on Excel and getting a software program. We got Service Autopilot because we were big enough to where it was definitely practical, and that has changed our business. It's so easy to contact people and get it organized.
Yeah, I knew that you ran Service Autopilot just from TikTok or Instagram or what have you. We're actually getting ready to, I think, dump yard books.
Okay.
Just because it's not super duper user friendly, or it's not super duper friendly to someone other than me. And so I want something where I can send it, which the way we do routes right now is I build the route in Yard Book and then I email it to my guy and it pulls up in his thing. But it's just an email and a list of addresses. There's no way for him to log in unless he goes online and uses his login, and then you have to log in every time.
Yeah.
And so I want to move to something that has an app. And so I've been looking at Jobber and looking at Service Autopilot, and I'm trying to, because I definitely am going to make a switch here in the next 20 days.
So I don't have Jobber. I haven't dealt with it, but Service Autopilot is really user friendly, right? Like my brother has an app and he's out in the field, he's cutting the grass, and you can see that he's working on it, and then you can see when he finished it. And then if you want to make a change, right? Like you have someone calls, hey, I don't want my yard done today. You can instantly take it off, and it'll come off his. It is very nice. I mean, obviously, like let's say you have, you're paying $100 a month. Yard book's free, I believe, right? Is it free?
Yeah, I do the paid version, so it's like 40, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's like the base one is like $100 a month, and then you add, if you add an app, it's like $10 extra. But I mean, it's nice. The other thing is too is if you could find a slow part in your season to switch everything over, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm going to do it sometime soon.
Because it is a lot, and it's kind of hard to learn at first, right? You're just learning it and switching all the emails, switching all that. But I think it's worth it. You're at the point where it's 70 yards. If you wait even a year or two from now, it's going to even be harder to switch. But yeah, I mean, I recommend Service Autopilot. But like I said, I haven't tried anything else, and I will never go to anything else unless something happens to Service Autopilot. That's beautiful advice too, right there. Because I tell people you have to have a software program. You cannot run this business even if you have 10 yards. You don't want to have to call 10 people and say, "Hey, I can't cut your grass today." You want to just push a button and send an email. So,
yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. Route density, having some kind of management software, and then having an ideal client. Gotcha. I would say those are probably the top three things that help me go from making $10,000 in a summer to $80,000 in a summer. Yeah. And so those are probably the biggest three things I would say that, gotcha. And do it now while you have 5 lawns or 10 lawns or 20. Yep. And so, or make the switch if you have 80, if you're driving 2 hours a day to cut 15 lawns, doesn't make sense.
Because then if something breaks down, you're stuck. Hey, man, Jason, I appreciate this conversation because, we're a little bit bigger, but we think exactly the same. And I wish I would have figured out what you figured out 2 years ago. We figured it out after 17 years of business. I really think this conversation helped, man. And if I'm ever driving through Arkansas, dude, I'm gonna stop by and maybe hunt or something like that.
Sounds good, man.
Check out your gun collection or something. Hey, I appreciate it, man. You have a good day.
All right, man. We'll see you.
Yep, see you. Hey, guys. Everything I talk about on TikTok, everything I talk about on Instagram and YouTube and this podcast, that guy has done it, and he found me just by chance. Like, I didn't teach him how to do that. He didn't learn that from me. He already knew it. He found it by listening to books like I talk about. He found it by listening to podcasts. He found it by watching YouTube videos. And he applied the density and the cutting out of clients and having an ideal client. He figured that out, and now he's reaping the benefits. 70 yards, and that's only 40% of his business. I'm telling you guys, the little things in business go a long way, right? The pumpkin plant, I don't just say the pumpkin plant every other video because I just want to promote the pumpkin plant. I don't get paid to promote the pumpkin plant. I believe in it so much that I believe it could change your business so much that's why I teach it. That's why I preach it. That guy's killing it. I mean, Jason is absolutely killing it. And I truly believe if this helped you, you got to share this. You got to tell somebody about it because a lot of you guys are where he is. A lot of you guys are where you want to be, right? He's there. So, man, that was a great conversation. Like I said, Tribe of Millionaires, read this book. That's your homework. Read this book, Tribe of Millionaires. It matters who you hang around, who you talk to, who you listen to, because if you listen to the wrong people, you're going to end up in the wrong spot. Lastly, if you want to get on this call, if you want to get on a call like this, message me on Instagram. This guy found me on Instagram. He messaged me, and that was a great conversation. You need to listen to it again while you're mowing, whatever the case may be. Message me on Instagram or email the show, thegoodallshow@gmail.com, to get on the show because I have 3 people lined up already. Got to have a conversation on Wednesday. I'll upload this every week, and we'll go from there. I appreciate you guys. Remember, start with why, Tribe of Millionaires. Thanks for listening.